I'm Liyana Hassanel, and this is Nightline. The top stories. Diagnostic screening assessment scrapped for 6-year-olds entering Year 1. And robust ringgit record investments put Malaysia's economy on confident footing. Good morning. The proposed diagnostic screening test for 6-year-old children seeking early enrollment into Year 1 starting in the 2027 school session has been scrapped. According to Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim, the decision was made following a review by the Education Ministry after concerns were raised that the assessment could have negative psychological effects on children and lead to discrimination. Speaking in the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday, Anwar said that the move is also aimed at preventing children from being excluded from the education system and from suffering learning losses of up to 1 year. He added that children's readiness for school will instead be monitored continuously by teachers and parents.
Cadangan awal itu baik sebab ada satu sistem penilaian sebelum anak itu masuk ke sekolah. Tetapi difikirkan nanti dia jadi diskriminatif. Maknanya ada anak ini kurang-kurangnya dah masuk darjah 1 dan masuk prasekolah, dia tak layak, dia kurang cerdik sebagainya. Jadi mungkin ada kesan psikologi. Jadi oleh itu ditiadakan.
Anwar also said the government will implement double session schooling in selected urban schools to tackle overcrowding, particularly for preschool and Year 1 pupils. The interim measure, which will begin in the 2027 school calendar, was necessary to ensure quality education for all students. The Prime Minister also announced that an additional 800 million ringgit will be allocated in this year's budget to address urgent needs in the education sector, including the recruitment of 18,000 new teachers. Last week, Anwar launched the National Education Plan 2026 to 2035, which introduced a policy allowing parents to enroll their children in school at the age of 6, a year earlier than the current entry age of 7. Following this, Education Minister Fadlina Siddiq said that only 6-year-old pupils who passed a diagnostic screening would be eligible for early entry into Year 1. Meanwhile, education experts said the decision to scrap the diagnostic screening for Year 1 entry must be accompanied by stronger classroom support. University Technology Mara Early Childhood Education Program Head Fatin Aliana Radzi pointed out that 6-year-olds enter school with widely varying backgrounds and learning experiences.
And removing the screening does not mean we ignore readiness altogether. Perhaps a different approach from teachers, in screening these children needs to be used. For example, using simple classroom-based ways to observe children, particularly how children cope emotionally, their interaction with others, especially their peers and the teachers. How do they engage with learning?
Fatin added that this shift places greater responsibility on teachers and highlights the need for better training to help educators identify and support children who may struggle in their early months of school. Meanwhile, University of Cyberjaya Adjunct Professor Datuk Satina Said Saleh stressed that education at this stage must be inclusive, child-centered, and focus on growth, not selection.
This is the right decision. At 6 years old, children develop at very different rates, and early screening risks labeling and disadvantaging them before learning even begins. What matters is not testing children at the gate, but supporting them once they enter the classroom through teacher observation, early intervention, and strong transition support.
Now, the National Union of the Teaching Profession, NUTP, has welcomed the government's decision to scrap the proposed screening test for 6-year-olds seeking early entry into Year 1. Its Secretary General Fauzi Singon noted that parents, alongside schools, play a key role in preparing children for Year 1, including developing basic self-care skills and early literacy and numeracy.
At the same time, the Ministry of Education must be prepared with educate infrastructure and teachers. And UTP hopes only children who have attended preschools or nursery will begin Year 1 at the age of 6.
In another development, Anwar said that Malaysia generated 45.4 billion ringgit in export sales in 2025, driven by a strategy to expand markets and trade opportunities. He said this in the Dewan Rakyat when asked about the impact of his overseas visits and trade missions last year, which he said had helped boost the country's exports. Anwar added that the achievement was supported by strategic trade relationships with several key countries, focusing on high-value sectors. These included the United Kingdom, Russia, France, Brazil, China, South Korea, and several African nations.
Peningkatan 6.3% ketimbang 2024. Dan ini hasil sekali lagi dengan sikap kita mengambil sikap terbuka, berdagang secara bebas dan mencecah kepada 240 pasaran.
Anwar further said that the country's trade surplus also rose 9.2% to 1.58 billion ringgit last year, demonstrating Malaysia's strong trade performance despite global economic uncertainties and international geopolitical tensions. Also at the Dewan Rakyat, the Prime Minister said the government would ensure that economic policies were well controlled following the strengthening of the ringgit.
Bahawa sebaiknya kalau kita ada pilihan, ringgit itu harus mengukuh secara berhemah, perlahan, tetapi ini kadang-kadang luar berjangkaan. Keyakinan pelabur itu tidak dapat dikawal sepenuhnya.
The ringgit recorded a new highest level since May 15, 2018 at the midday break. It traded at 3.954 against the United States dollar and is expected to continue to increase. At a separate function, Anwar said that Malaysia's robust economic performance and skilled workforce provide the nation with the potential to elevate its standing as a leading country in Asia. He added that recent economic indicators, including record-high investment figures, were key to boosting public confidence and driving national progress. At the launch of the Semenya Public Initiative in Selangor, Anwar said that the government, together with the private sector, must seize this opportunity to develop and build the nation.
Potensi negara ini hebat, saudara. Potensi yang ada di Malaysia sekarang, dengan kekuatan ekonominya, dengan keupayaan kita, dengan tahap pekerjaan dan prestasi pekerja, semua angka-angka ini menunjukkan kita ada upaya untuk mengangkat martabat Malaysia sebagai negara hebat di Asia.
The Prime Minister added that a weak economy could exacerbate issues such as unemployment and poverty. Anwar also urged businesses and individuals to address everyday issues affecting citizens' lives, stressing the importance of a positive mindset and collaborative effort. A total of 34 million ringgit from scam activities was successfully recovered last year, a significant increase compared to 508,479 ringgit 39 cents recorded in 2024. Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the success was the result of the 24-hour operation of the National Scam Response Centre, NSRC, which previously operated during office hours, as well as the increase in staffing at the centre. The minister told the Dewan Rakyat on Tuesday that the money saved was using Penal Code subsections 424A, B and C, as this money failed to be transferred layer by layer.
Apakah angka ini membanggakan? Tentulah tidak. Ya, prestasi petunjuk bagi kejayaan kes-kes seumpama ini. Saya pun minta kepada saya supaya kalau ada best practices negara-negara di dunia yang menghadapi masalah yang sama dan kualiti penyiasatan dan penyelesaian masalah.
He said the scams involved financial crimes in the categories of love scams, e-commerce, non-existent loans, non-existent investments, and telecommunications crimes. The The Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry is carrying out a cost-benefit analysis on the impact of Malaysia's exports to the United States after the Malaysia-United States Agreement on Reciprocal Trade, ART, was signed last year. Its Minister Datuk Seri Johari Abdul Ghani said that the study is expected to take between 6 and 12 months. Johari said the study will assess potential tariff revenue losses, distributional impacts across sectors, and the need for possible amendments to domestic laws.
Tumpuan khusus akan diberikan kepada kesan ekspor negara kepada Amerika Syarikat yang bernilai 233.1 bilion dan lebihan dagangan kita dengan US bernilai 98.7 bilion. Kelangsungan perniagaan, perlindungan dan pekerjaan yang dianggarkan 648,000.
The minister was responding to a question in the Dewan Rakyat on the government's decision to review the agreement before ratification. He said Putrajaya has yet to receive any official notice from Washington on the timeline for ratifying the ART. As such, the government is re-examining the agreement to safeguard national economic interests and minimize risks to trade. Previously, the U.S. planned to impose a 25% tariff on Malaysian exports, but following negotiations, the rate was reduced to 19%.
Trade hits 3 trillion ringgit and GDP exceeds forecasts. What does this mean for growth? How will fiscal and subsidy reforms support this momentum? Which spending matters most? Zahir Kelvin Ong Abdullah speaks with MIER Executive Director Tan Sri Sulaiman Mahbub only on Money Matters this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Income inequality among formal sector workers in Malaysia remains stark, with only a small group earning high wages, while a significant number continue to receive low pay. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, DOSM, just 8.6% of formal workers earn a monthly wage of at least 10,000 ringgit as of September 2025. Percentile analysis shows the lowest 10% of formal workers earned 1,700 ringgit or less per month, while the top 10% received at least 9,000 ringgit a month. The median monthly wage for formal workers stood at 2,864 ringgit, marking a 4.3% year-on-year increase. By gender, the median wage for male workers was 2,900 ringgit, compared with 2,800 ringgit for female workers. In terms of sectors, mining and quarrying continued to record the highest median wages. Geographically, Kuala Lumpur posted the highest median monthly wage, while Kelantan and Perlis were among the lowest. More than 3 billion ringgit in drugs seized. This and more after this breather.
Sekujur mayat yang sudah lebam tapi tidak diketahui jantina.
Keadaan si mati yang telah membusuk, yang mana dia ditinggalkan sedemikian setelah berhari-hari ditinggalkan.
Dan apabila dia bangun selepas 2 hari, dia nampak kawan dia iaitu mangsa masih berada di sana, baring di dalam rumah dia. Dan tertuduh nampak sebenarnya dia tidak bernafas pun.
Unlocking the future of business.
From industry evolutions to policy changes, we go beyond the headlines.
Deep insights, sharp analysis.
Understanding the forces driving tomorrow's economy.
Key financial insights that drive decisions.
This is Money Matters, every Saturday, 5 p.m.
Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Saya rasa it was a very intense film. Betapa susah, betapa besarnya ujian saudara-saudara dekat Gaza lah.
Yang undang-undang tu memang kita tak boleh terima lah. Engkau bom, kita nak selamatkan orang yang kau dah bom tu, kita kena minta permission engkau juga. Itulah dia kan. Memang sangat tak okey lah tu.
Jangan lupa sama-sama kita pergi support, saksikan filem The Voice of Fin Rajab.
Filem ni suara orang-orang Palestin.
Dulu awak yang cakap awak dah kahwin. Ingat tak? Awak tu sepatutnya fikir dulu sebelum sakit ke hati saya.
You are the reason I lost Amia.
Dia ni sebenarnya balas dengan boyfriend.
Ni mesti kerja makeup ni.
Confirm.
Bagi tahu papa siapa lelaki tu.
Korang tak ada kerja ke? Ha? Aku ni punching bag ke?
Jawab.
Jawab dong. Tu suami dia, abang ipar saya, ni kakak saya.
My Stolen First Love, Jumaat dan Sabtu 9 malam di Lestari TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. Bukit Aman's Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department crippled 270 drug syndicates last year, with drugs worth a staggering 3.19 billion ringgit seized, almost 8 times higher in value than the previous year. A total of 737 suspects were also arrested in 2025, up from 714 arrests the year before. The data was disclosed by Inspector General of Police Datuk Seri Muhammad Khalid Ismail during the monthly assembly of the Royal Malaysia Police on Tuesday. He said the increase reflects a stronger focus on dismantling supply chains, including upstream drug production. Police also dismantled 55 illegal drug laboratories last year, compared with 44 in 2024. In a parallel push to weaken syndicates financially, authorities also seized assets worth 144 million ringgit and forfeited nearly 31 million ringgit last year, both higher than figures recorded in 2024. Khalid noted that these financial actions are crucial in disrupting drug syndicates' operational capacity comprehensively and sustainably. In Selangor, the Customs Department has foiled an attempt to smuggle cigars and rice valued at more than 4 million ringgit, including duties and taxes. The seizure followed a risk-based operation around Port Klang. State Customs Director Muhammad Azhar Ahmad Baharazi said a 20-foot container was inspected at North Port on December 29th last year. A search of the container uncovered 6,250 kilograms of cigars and 3,900 kilograms of rice, suspected to have been imported without valid permits. Investigations found that the goods had been falsely declared as footwear to bypass import permit requirements. Checks revealed the container, which originated from an Asian country, arrived at Port Klang on October 12th. The case is being investigated under the Customs Act. 3 of Malaysia's most wanted criminals reportedly acted violently in Mumbai, India, after being deported from the United Kingdom. A special team from the Royal Malaysia Police has been deployed to Mumbai to escort the suspects back to Malaysia once the extradition process is completed. Bukit Aman is expected to place the 3 individuals under the highest level of security once they arrive in the country. According to a report from an Indian news agency, the trio turned aggressive with Indian security personnel at the Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj International Airport in Mumbai, following their deportation from the UK. It is understood that the suspects are currently being held under high-level security surveillance in a special room at the airport. The suspects have been identified as the primary targets of Object Sparrow, launched by Bukit Aman late last year to dismantle an organized crime syndicate. They are wanted to assist in police investigations into several cases, including murder and arson. It is believed that the suspects managed to exit Malaysia to Mumbai and were attempting to enter Manchester, England, but were denied entry by UK immigration officers. Meanwhile, Malaysian Border Control and Protection Agency MCBA Director General Datuk Seri Muhammad Shuhaili Muhammad Zain said authorities are investigating how the suspects managed to evade capture. Nipah outbreak in India triggers Asia airport screenings. The details when Nightline returns.
2025 dah habis. Jom kita tengok 2026.
Hubungan Kan kita bukan betul pun. So apa? Main-main je. Awak bukan sayang saya pun kan?
Kau tak payah nak ambil tahu pasal hidup orang boleh. Yang kau nak panas ni asal.
Dia pandai tau. Dia pandai malu.
Kalau nak nasihat dengan hati. Kenalkan Nur, orang penting dalam hidup Ab.
Sampai bila abang nak tidur bawah ni? Kalau abang takut, Aira boleh tidur dekat tengah.
Abang risau belakang saya yang sakit.
Kau dah cakap sangat pasal mak aku kan? Kau cakap depan biji mata aku lah.
Saya layan awak macam sampah. Tapi awak layan saya macam princess.
Walau sampai detik yang saya ada separuh nafas, saya tetap akan cintakan awak.
Mak, tak perasan ke? Ha? Muka dia tu macam tak suka kita datang.
Malam kau pergi mana? Aku call kau tak angkat. Message pun kau tak baca.
Tapi, walaupun kerja macam tu, diorang lolek tau.
Perempuan! Kalau nak carikan kawan bos tu.
Sorry Cik Farah, saya nak pergi kat kereta ambil barang je.
Every time I see.
Kau tahu kan muka dia jadi apa pun tak dapat. Aku tak faham lah. Kenapa kau suruh aku tipu kita tu? Saya ingin mengucapkan selamat tahun baru.
Selamat tahun baru. Selamat tahun baru 2026 kepada semua penonton TV3.
Dan juga tonton.
Sekujur mayat yang sudah lebam tapi tidak diketahui jantina.
Keadaan si mati yang telah membusuk, yang mana dia ditinggalkan sedemikian setelah berhari-hari ditinggalkan.
Dan apabila dia bangun selepas 2 hari, dia nampak kawan dia iaitu mangsa masih berada di sana baring di dalam rumah dia. Dan tertuduh nampak sebenarnya dia tidak bernafas pun.
Welcome back. The foreign front. An outbreak of the deadly Nipah virus in India's West Bengal state has raised concerns across parts of Asia, prompting some countries to tighten airport screening measures. While no cases have been reported outside India, several nations are stepping up precautions. Thailand has begun screening passengers at 3 international airports in Bangkok and Phuket that receive flights from India's West Bengal state. Nepal has also started screening travelers arriving at Kathmandu Airport and at other land border crossings with India. Meanwhile, Taiwan's health authorities have proposed listing the Nipah virus as a Category 5 disease. The move follows the infection of 5 healthcare workers in West Bengal earlier this month. The Nipah virus can spread from animals to humans and carries a high fatality rate of between 40 and 75%, with no vaccine or specific treatment currently available. In the meantime, health controls at all Malaysia's entry points will be gradually strengthened. In a statement, the Health Ministry said it is closely monitoring the situation in coordination with the World Health Organization and through bilateral engagement with relevant authorities. The ministry said any further measures will be decided based on verified information and a thorough risk assessment, in line with national policies and established procedures. Public health preparedness includes enhanced health monitoring and screening of travelers deemed high risk, particularly those showing symptoms or suspected of carrying infectious diseases. Emergency medical teams are also on standby in accordance with infectious disease management guidelines. Nipah virus is a zoonotic disease that can spread from animals to humans, as well as through close human contact, and may cause symptoms such as fever, respiratory problems, and inflammation of the brain. U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday said he believes Iran remains open to talks, even as a U.S. naval strike force led by an aircraft carrier arrived in Middle Eastern waters. U.S. Central Command confirmed that the USS Abraham Lincoln-led strike group has entered the region, though it did not disclose its exact location. Washington has not ruled out new military action against Tehran over its crackdown on protests, which human rights groups say resulted in thousands of deaths. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson warned that any strike on Iran would have wider consequences, saying a breakdown in security would be contagious. Analysts say potential options range from strikes on military facilities to targeted attacks against Iran's leadership. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has voiced deep concern over escalating tensions between the US and Iran. warning that the situation could spiral into open conflict with far-reaching consequences for the Middle East and beyond. In a statement posted on his official social media platforms, the Prime Minister said the growing concentration of military assets and increasingly absolutist public rhetoric had narrowed the space for restraint at precisely the moment when it is most needed. He also cautioned that any confrontation between Washington and Tehran would have repercussions across an already fragile Middle East, including the risk of proxy escalation, maritime insecurity, and economic shocks that could extend well beyond the region. Emphasizing the need for diplomacy, Anwar said the imperative of peace must prevail over all other considerations, urging all parties to step back from the brink and recommit to dialogue with urgency and seriousness. Meanwhile, a top U.S. immigration official is expected to leave the U.S. city of Minneapolis on Tuesday in what may signal a shift in the White House's approach. The move follows the fatal shooting of a second U.S. citizen by federal officers over the weekend, which has sparked intense public backlash and protests. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino drew widespread condemnation for asserting without evidence that the man who was killed, Alex Pretty, had been planning to massacre law enforcement officers, a claim that authorities have not substantiated. Trump's decision may signal a potential softening of the administration's nationwide immigration crackdown. The all-time temperature record in the southeast Australian state of Victoria was broken on Tuesday amid a severe heat wave. According to the Bureau of Meteorology, the small town of Walpiap and the nearby Hopeton Airport each recorded maximum temperatures of 48.9 degrees Celsius. The new record was set as Victoria endured its most severe heat wave since 2009. Earlier, firefighters across Victoria battled at least 6 major blazes, while evacuation orders were issued for more than 1,100 properties in Carlisle River. Meanwhile, Melbourne Airport recorded a maximum of 44.1 degrees Celsius. Switching to sports now, football. FIFA has suspended the bans on 7 Malaysian heritage players with immediate effect on Tuesday, following a stay of execution granted by the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CAS. The Football Association of Malaysia, FAM, said it had informed FIFA of the CAS ruling. In a statement, FIFA said it has informed all relevant member associations and confederations to suspend enforcement of the ban at domestic and continental levels while the appeal process continues. The 7 players are Facundo Garces, Rodrigo Holgado, Imanol Machuca, Joao Figueiredo, Gabriel Palmeiro, Yon Irasabal, and Hector Hevel. The clarification follows an earlier FAM statement confirming that CAS allowed the players' application to temporarily halt their 12-month suspensions. The ruling lets them resume playing and take part in all football activities until CAS issues a final decision on the appeal. While they can play at the club level, FAM has yet to say if they may rejoin the national team. FAM will provide further clarification at an emergency executive committee meeting on Wednesday. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as hundreds of vintage vehicles take to the streets of Paris for the 26th Annual Vintage Vehicle Parade. With that, I'm Hassanel. Thank you for watching and take care, Malaysia.